Afternoon. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've been doing a load of jobs at home this morning. I've got some more seeds sown. I've done a couple of types of beetroot. I've done, I think it was 20 modules of the bull-tardy beetroot, the normal, quite popular red one. And I've done, I think it was 16 stations of the Chioggia. I know I said that wrong, sorry. The stripy one. So I made some little paper pots for that, just out of an old dictionary that I had kicking about. So, no expense spared as usual. So they're done now, which is great. I did have to re-sow some of the kales. I've had some really poor germination on the kales, 3 types of them to be fair. And they weren't old seed either, so it's a little bit of an unusual one that, because the heading brassicas have come through lovely all in the same tray. But anyway, I've re-sown them and I've sown them quite heavily per station, so I should be getting something out of them now. I've also got some really quite leggy coriander as well. Whoops, that germinated on top of the boiler and I didn't see it. And all you need is a day, isn't it, for it to come through, and then you miss it and it's reaching for the sky. So anyway, I'm persevering with it and that's growing on the windowsill now. And I've just come today to just see if I can get a little bit more woodwork done. It's quite a small plot is this one. It's just over 19 metres long. And it's about 8 wide, so it's pretty small, and my shed is actually wasting a bit of space because it's about 5 metres off the back fence where my neighbour is. And that was because, I've mentioned it before I think, but when I first got the plot there was a massive sycamore in the corner and the stump's still there. It's actually, I've had to just cut the little suckers off it because it started trying to regrow. I did that a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the shed wasn't quite out from completely under the canopy, and it's 5 metres to the back edge of it off that back wall. So I've got a little bit of a shady bit at the back, which is where I want to put the pond in the end. But yeah, I need to make a little bit better use out of the space that's lacking really on this plot, and just try and find some sneaky areas where I can grow more stuff. So I wanted to just show you around and talk you through some ideas that I've got. Just see if we can think of some areas where we can force more stuff in, because I've been trying to do my plot plan for this year and everywhere's so oversubscribed. Honestly, I've got like plants on top of plants really space wise, but I want them all. I want to try and get them all in somewhere if I can. The one area that I think's the most viable is this little dead end path here that I've got, because here we are, a bit of orientation. We've got the shed there. We've got the central path running up there. But this bit, I think if I make a little bed just across here, I can get a few more bits in there. I can pull this sheet, there's some weed suppressant under there. I can pull this away so the plants again can get into the proper ground, because this isn't too big. This is not so bad for weeding, is this bit. And I might be able to, I don't know, I might even be able to get a couple of okra plants in there, or again more outdoor tomatoes, something like that. So I think what I'm going to do first is build this little bed across between here. I'll still be able to reach into these either side, that'll be alright. Yeah, I only really need to put a front across it, so that's what I'm going to commit to and do. Just look at this. Look at the state of this. And I tidied it so nicely, didn't I? Through winter, anyway. Yeah. Happens, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm going to wade in here, see if I can find some timber for this bed. I do have to, if I show you from this angle you'll see better, but I've got a wonky side. I need to wedgie it with the fork and tap one of my little posts in. Let me show you this. You see that there, this bit? How bowed that is. Yeah, that needs pushing back level and a thing poking down here just to keep it upright. That's done nothing. That's done nothing. these bottom bit's not so bad. It's the top bit, and I've got a gap anta, because as I'm hitting here, it is naturally nudging it this way, you know, this way, which it will do. So I might have to bung another one here, just for good measure. I mean, when I take these screws off, this is probably going to deflect and it's probably going to boing back out again, but we had a go, didn't we? In fact, we'll get this bit in and then we'll release that, and then it might snap into place and hold it better. Oh, can you tell I'm naffed? Flipping stones worth of lump hammer. Anyway, yeah, I'll put another one in. So just in case you missed what I was doing there with this, I measured the end of the bed, which was whatever it was, because it's more square and upright on the corners, and this bit needs to be what the ends are really. So I kind of knocked off how far in I needed to set that screw, and the same at the other side, so it was landing in the middle of the little post. And I've attached one side on, gone to the other side, tried to, you know, wedgie this up something like level, and screw fixed that one in by sort of tugging it and tugging these sides in square. And now I'm trying to knock the posts in to hold it in place, so that when this comes off and it sort of pings back, well, the hopes is that it doesn't ping back and then it stays where it is. I know it's going to move a bit because I've got a gap down top of this stake here. So I'll put the other one in, we'll get this bed in now. This is a little bit more square and levelish, and then we'll take that out and it can do what it wants then, because I mean, having another piece of a bed in here, even though it's not right down to here, which would be ideal, you know, even though it's only going to be a short one, like 18 inch, 2 foot deep, something like that, it's going to help stop this bit bowing out a little bit more, she says with great confidence. Right, let's see if we can lollop this one in and all. It'd have probably been a good job to contract out to James, this one would be, because he's much better at walloping stuff than I am, more accurately. But when James isn't here, you know, I've got to do it, haven't I? Right, we'll call that done enough. Right, where's my wonky tape measure? Right then, how far out? I think more the better really, but I've got to reach in. 2 foot. 2 foot might do it to there. Yeah, about there. That's quite a lot, isn't it, really? I can still reach in these and grab the flipping... Oh, heck. I didn't think that was going to be as big as that. Get rid of cleavers. Yeah, I think 2 foot. That should be okay. Right, so we need sticks. And when I say 2 foot, I'm measuring 600mm, of course, just to confuse. So top, we've got 780. Below, we've got, oh, do you know, we might get away with. That's like 785. I think we'll get away with cutting it at 780. That's the thing. Sit in my new bed. Yeah, because these sides, they're not 100% plumb, and they're a bit, you know, all over at shop. So you've got like 780, 785, 795, whatever, you know, and you're kind of wanting to cut all your bits of wood the same size and hope they fit in. So anyway, we can persuade it, can't we, with persuading hammer. But yeah, 780, if that's what I said. I can't remember. It's meant to be 800, that's what we're aiming for between these beds. 780, yeah. Right, we've got to find some timber now to do this little wall and little corner bits as well. I've got some little tiny bits. I have to do just do a million bits of these, maybe. Right, so by rights, if I wanted to make this little bedside here to the same height as that, I'd need 8 bits, and I'd have a little bit spare as well at the top. It'd be just set down a little bit, but I've only got 6. So I think what I'm going to do is, because it's raining and I'm sort of running out of time a little bit today, I think I'll put the little side supports on the full height. I'll put on what I've got for now, and then the last couple of bits, when I find some suitable timber that matches it, I could put those on later. And you know, I've got my bits that are high enough to connect into. So we'll crack on, and we'll get this little bit cleared of the bark, get the pieces cut, get the side bits on. We'll just see if we can get some of these front bits cut and put on as well, just before we lose light. Yeah, it's going to be good when it's done. Look at this, look at that. Welcome to the Marestail, just in case you were in any doubt of what I was saying, because I mean, we're going to see it in April, believe me. We're going to see it for sure. Yeah, here we are, old faithful friend. So I mean, my thoughts of, this being little, you know, it'll not be so bad to weed the Marestail out of them, because this has been covered for 2 years, you know, I'm probably going to be alright, aren't I? This is kind of telling me no. But you know, we're used to it by now. Yeah, so off the back of that sheet. Yeah, so now, I know you haven't seen much of this. I've been complaining about Marestail, haven't I, on and off, and it's been winter, so you've probably been like, what you on about? But that bit down there, it's been covered over for a good couple of years. I mean, April the 7th coming up, that'll be the plot's 2 full year anniversary. It'll be my 3rd growing season here, and it's been covered the whole time as this, either by black plastic sheet or last year with this weed suppressant, the bark on top, and I've been pulling it up whenever I could as well. And yeah, this is just what we've got. You know, pick a card, any card kind of thing. That's what has come off the back of that sheet. And it does just spear its way straight through. Anything like that, anything no dig style like cardboard, if it's down in its first proper growing season, like from April, May time, it's coming through and it's coming for you. And only thing you can do is beat it back, just pull it sort of thing, or suppress it. And I'm doing all of it. And whenever I've got piles and piles of this, which is often, it gets drowned for months and months, then it gets double bagged into compost bags and left weighing down the sheet in the sun to sort of silage it and compost it further and make sure it's completely dead. And in one of the other videos recently, when I opened up the big compost heap, I did top dress one of these rows at the front, didn't I, with a load of this that had been sat in the bags for 12 months or so. But of course it were experimental. I'm only doing one just to see if it is dead, because I need a bit of a gauge of how long I can leave this before it's useful. And I don't think it's got a load of nutrient in it, you know, by the time it's composted down, but it's adding it back in. It's not taking it to the tip and throwing it away. And I can use the liquor that comes off it, the tea, and I can water that back into the ground as well. So you might as well look at it as a resource, even though it's hard work. I mean, a lot of people would say if you take on an allotment and it's got Marestail, run for the hills, basically, you know, give it back unless you're ready for a challenge, because it's brought me close to tears a time or two as this, and that's not a lie, unfortunately. It's just, it can be quite overwhelming trying to keep on top of it. But we're going to get there, and I love the plot all the same, so you're going to have to go, chummy. Right now. So this is one of the drowning barrels for the Marestail, and that other massive one generally goes on the end there, but this, I haven't been into this for ages, so I think I'm actually going to need a little bit of a tool to pull the stuff out. I might be able to use my bit of a stick that's down here. Let's have a look and see where we're up to with this. Right, what we got there? What's he come as? That's weird. I don't know, it looks like a weird little grubby thing, that. And another one. Oh, there's a few. We've got critters living in here. That's interesting. I think we'll have to look these up. They've got a weird little... These are creatures, aren't they? I'll show you what I found, because I'm not sure if these are a little critter with a little tail on end. Look like a little grub. And there's a load of holes. Yeah, so this is the thing, isn't it? You know, when you don't inspect stuff, life finds a way. So, there's some little... Hang on, can you see them there? There's some funny little... I can't even get a hold of it. But like, is that a grub? What's that? There's a few of these. I hope we could see them. Can you see them? Hang on, let's stand behind the camera. I'm going to have to hug you a minute to spoon the camera, but yeah, look at these. What's these? These weird little things here. Ah, I don't know if that's focusing, is it? Oops, I dropped them now. Anyway. Yeah, so creatures in the drowning barrel. But yeah, we've got this raft of Marestail on top here. You know, if you make your own comfrey tea and nettle tea, you've probably got a bit of an idea of how this smells. It's a bit smelly. I'm not that fussed. I'm over it. Worst thing is drowned leeks. I've said that before as well. When I had my leaf miner attack and I drowned like 60 odd leeks, that's terrible. That's so much worse than this. But yeah, it all goes into this barrel and it drowns in there. There's a big worm in it and all. That's quite nice. And yeah, every now and again it is meant to get a bit of a, you know, a mix up. But yeah, there's a lot in there. There's a lot. A bit of a space there. Yeah, it's all, can you see it frothing up? Oh yeah, it's quite solid down into there. So it's very, very full. So all this has pulled nutrient out of the soil. And there is soil mixed in there as well, you know, that was attached to the roots and whatever. But yeah, this stews down. And aside from drying it, I mean, it dries brilliantly. It dries so quickly. It goes really sandy because it draws up loads of silicon out of the soil. And then you could crumble it up and it'd be dead then. Or you could burn it. But this is the best way I found of dealing with it. When I was weeding it out and I had loads of it very, very quickly, like buckets and buckets per day, this was the best way I could think of to get shut of it, was shove it in a bucket and just put water on top of it. So yeah, that's my method. And you leave it for a long time and hope it's dead. And then it gets, like I say, double bagged, baked in the sun, and then hopefully returned back to the ground without it taking root again. But yeah, it's a bit of a dodgy game, because if you do chuck it back on and it's viable, you're just propagating it, aren't you, really? Yeah, but got a bit of, I don't know what there and all. So that's the Marestail game, yeah. So if you're taking on a new plot, well, Google it, I'd say. Google it and see what it looks like, because the spore bearing heads are going to start showing in April, and they look like evil asparagus, I call it. 'Cause they're kind of a browny colour with a little tip on it that if you knock it, all the spores waft off, because it's a prehistoric plant, so it doesn't grow like a lot of normal flowering plants. And yeah, it's spore bearing, I suppose, a little bit more akin to like a fern or something like that, I guess. And then after that, sort of May time, the green leaves start coming through, and at first you'd think it were quite cute because it looks very fern-like, very sort of like a fir tree almost. But yeah, it can get really, really big, and it's just everywhere. And yeah, very, very difficult to beat back because the roots go so deep. I mean, you hear all sorts of reports. I read something on the net that said miners had found the roots of it 50 feet down, I think it was. Something like that. But in my experience here, it's mostly in the top sort of 12 to 18 inches, maybe you can still see it 2 foot down, but 12 to 18 inches is where most of it is. So, I mean, you can dig it over and try and weed it all out, but if you leave any broken stems in the ground, which you will do, because they're really hard to see as well, because they're like a browny sort of colour, it's going to grow from there as well. So yeah, really, really difficult thing to try and deal with. And we're using a few attacks, but still gardening despite it though, aren't we? And still trying to use it for something. So yeah, now this has had a little bit of an impromptu stir. I'd best get that slop put back in and we'll get back to the previous job, eh? So yeah, sorry if you watch this at tea time. I didn't mean to put you off your tea, but you won't want spaghetti, will you, for a while? There we go. Oh, it's a bit of a motley crew situation, isn't it, with all those different timbers there, and those blue ones, they are a bit thicker, aren't they? Never mind. And I just found one extra bit as well, so it's come right to the top now, which is, yeah, spot on. I mean, they're only thin bits of wood. Yeah, they're a bit, not very substantial at all, those very, very thin bits of wood, but I think it'll be okay. I mean, I don't have to fill this full, do I? I don't have to come right to the top with compost. So there'll only be so much weight, and it is quite narrow, is that. So I don't think I'll have this situation here that I did. So yeah, next step is to get all this lined round again with the compost bags, get those stapled on. Try and tart this up, kind of get it painted out. I don't know whether that blue stuff will paint well, and I know that stuff will want sanding back 'cause its gloss is that grey. But yeah, give that chance to, well, give us a dry spell, give it a chance to dry out, get it painted, get this lined, get some muck in it. Think about if I need to triangulate this bit of wood here, because if there's a bit of weight coming off this, if I've got the string coming down here with something growing up it, this is going to start bowing. It might want a piece putting across just to sort of bracket it, give it a bit more strength. But that's going to give us a bit more growing space and kind of get a bit of a better idea for what we're working with. There we go. Yeah, a little mini bed created. We can grow tall stuff up it and just pinch a little bit of space back from here and there because we need it. So yeah, glad that little bit's done. It's done nothing but rain on me the whole time, right from starting that job, just as usual. But another little leap forward, and quite a quick job now to get it lined and get it painted up, and then it's just another little spot, isn't it, that we can now use to grow in. So we'll catch up on the next stage of it next time, and I've yet to decide what I want to grow in there. I mean, it might end up being tomatoes again, because you can never have too many, can you? And I do want plenty because I want to can some and maybe freeze some, make some sauces, that kind of thing, and have a little bit of a supply for through winter. And if you've enjoyed the video, or if you've learnt something, please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.